Good morning, everyone. It's 7 minutes after the hour of 8 a.m. It's Saturday. It's September 9th, 2023. Tommy Goloff, your morning mayor in the house. Shane Matobin, half man, half amazing, is in Kamloops, Canada, enjoying himself up there. Well, I know. Hey, on today's show, some of the things we're going to talk about, we got to talk about Hunter Biden's gun indictment. We've got to talk about Lindsey Graham and his charges in Georgia. Fani, Willis and Jim Jordan are going at it. One of our listeners asked about weather control, the HAARP project. We're going to talk about that. And 10 Medicare drugs the government will negotiate lower prices for. So we got all that coming up, Shane, and but we should talk about Thursday night football for just a second. What a game.
Geez.
What a game.
It sucked. I couldn't believe it. The team lost the football game. Mahone was there.
Yeah.
He was there on top of it. I mean, 12 dropped passes. I mean, dropped in their hands and out. 12.
Yeah.
It was just, I couldn't believe it. I was just so sad. I felt bad for Mahone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I get in the huddle and you go, could somebody tell me who can catch a ball here?
Yeah.
I mean, they're all receivers and nobody could catch. And of course, Kelsey was out, the great Kelsey. And,
their lineman too. The lineman was out. Their two best players were out.
Robs or whatever. Yeah, he's holding out for 85
a lot of people would use that as an excuse. Well, we lost by 1 point because the two best guys weren't out there. No. But there's no guarantee they would have played any better.
Well, no, but I mean, I watched it, and of course, like everyone did. I was all cheered up, the popcorn, the soda, everything, and a beer, even if it was a good game, but it wasn't, so I didn't drink the beer.
Yeah.
But anyway, the bottom line was, I sat and watched that, and I figured 35 to 21. That's what that's what it should have been, easily. But it's the first game of the year. I'm glad they got their tushes bushed.
Yeah.
So now they'll take it serious, and I still think they'll be at the Super Bowl again this year. It's just the team's really remarkable. Yeah.
Well, barring injuries, they certainly on paper have an excellent team. So, and 27 million tuned in, second most watched program on TV. On TV, Shane, not sports, on TV. Since Super Bowl 52. So, or 57, sorry, 57.
Well, it was hyped really well,
it was. It was everywhere.
I mentioned it's very important before we zip. Mm-hmm. Did you see the commercial? I was shocked. Rydell, that is the commissioner of football, gets paid $28 million a year.
Yeah.
Got 2 private jets, one on both coasts. Mm-hmm. Like he has a better life than the president. The whole shebang. Having said that, did you see what he must have got paid for the Budweiser ad on that game?
I know, the Bud Light ad, yeah.
Bud Light.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I thought,
hey, if somebody wants to pay, what do you care?
Well, no, but that's his job. They paid double to get it on there.
Well, they paid something, I'm sure.
Yeah. But no, I wanted to write that down and bring it to your attention.
Okay, good. Well, the Bobcats are going to take on South Dakota State over in South Dakota today. That'll be 5 o'clock on our sister station, XL Country.
And last week?
Oh, they won last week, yeah.
Well, you should say that. Congratulations, Bobcats.
Well, they did.
You start the season out winning. Everybody may have expected it. The odds were in your favor, but you still got the job done. Everyone thought Kansas City would win, and they lost.
Yeah.
So come on. Any given Sunday, baby.
That's for sure.
Or Saturday.
Or Saturday, yeah. Well, the game's at 5 o'clock. Both teams are 1-0 so far. So somebody's going to go out of there 1-1, and somebody's going to go out 2-0. So we'll find out how that's going to work. So let's see. It's National Pet Memorial Day, Shane. I've had plenty of pets that I've either had to put down or passed away in my life, and it's never easy. So to those of you out there who have lost a pet, This is National Pet Memorial Day, so might be a day to reflect on how much pleasure those pets gave you. It's also International Day to protect education from attack. This must be the teachers' union, I guess, that we're going to try to attack. Shane.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
They got to be the worst out there. So, and also just for you, Shane, it's National Teddy Bear Day. So you can hug your teddy bear today and have a wonderful time.
No. I want the hug. No. I get the hug.
Well. Okay.
Well, no hugging the teddy bear. The teddy bear is the hugger. All right.
Okay. We'll see. We may have a caller on the line. The phones are working today. Who knows if they work or not? 406-522-TALK is the number. 406-522-8255. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Good morning, gentlemen. This is Jerry.
Jerry, how you doing?
Oh, it's a great one. Well. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Shane. Grateful to be alive. Tom, I think there should be a national, what was it? Teachers something day, you said?
It's the International Day to protect education from attack. If it isn't being attacked now, I don't know what. I need a new definition of attack, I guess.
Well, it should be a year-long thing. I mean, why one day? What's up with that?
Right.
And by the way, just to let you know, Detroit's a feisty team, believe it or not.
They are, yeah.
Well, last year, the Eagles opened up with those folks and darn near lost their opener. And it was a score of 38-35. The Eagles won the game. But Detroit, they beat Minnesota, I think, last year one time. They're a feisty team. They're up and coming.
They won 8 of their last 10 games last year.
Yeah, they're up and coming. So that's one of those teams.
They've never won a Super Bowl. They've won championship, division championship. Yeah. But they've never won Never won
a Super Bowl.
Or the AFC championship. So yeah, they're deserving.
Yeah.
Tom, wasn't South Dakota State MSU's opponent last year in the championship?
They were, and they've been the nemesis of us several years, in fact. So that's why this is going to be a big game. I couldn't find any odds on it anywhere. I don't know.
It's hard. Sometimes they don't post any kind of numbers on an FCS game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game. So. And, they'll have the advantage. The big advantage is the last time they beat us over there, I think it was the Ice Bowl game. It was about 10 below or 40 below or something like that the last time they played over there. So now it's...
I got to tell you both, ever since you said South Dakota, all I keep thinking of is the governor. Okay?
Oh, me too, yeah. Yeah, hopefully she'll be there.
I don't even know what you've talked about. All I've been sitting here is looking and going... Whoa!
Well, and she endorsed Trump last night.
Yeah, I know that. She was pretty feisty about all that. She's another up and comer, I guess, in the Republican Party.
She's the ticket. She's the ticket. It's him and her.
Yeah, if she's the VP, I don't know. Assassination attempts for Trump are all over the place. So
wow.
Yeah.
Of course, we don't condone violence here at KMMS, so don't call and say...
the Morgan family still control the bank, and,
Right. Tom, I have one question also. What's a G20? Is that some sort of globalist cabal?
Yeah, it's 20 nations that think they're special and get together every once in a while, and nothing really happens other than they made a commitment to zero emissions by 2050 or something like that. So there'll be zero people by 2050 if they do that, if they're successful.
Yeah, but they only represent 85% of the global production. China's been whacked. They're way down, 9%. So the consumption 65%. So I mean. It's sort of the most 20 important countries in the world, yes.
Wow. So G20 is basically 3 times the G7.
Yeah.
Just math. They don't know math.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And if people are worried about carbon emissions, they ought to scold the premier or president of Canada. I mean, those fires are putting a lot of carbon particulates up there.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Oh my
Holy
gosh!
smokes!
Here we go again.
I saw a map. I'm really worried about how Canada is going to survive.
Easier to tell what's not burning.
Yeah. Am I off base here and losing patience with which I have a tendency to do? I'm losing patience with this administration. I think they're definitely off the rails.
Well,
they think that because 70% of the atmosphere is nitrogen, that that we need to produce more oxygen. We don't, because there's only 0.04 carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and they can't get that right. So how can you expect them to get anything else right?
Yeah, they're not. Well, Biden went to Alaska to cut leases up there, so that tells you something about where they're going.
He did?
And to celebrate leases? Today, 9/11 coming up. He's going to do that in Alaska. Yeah. He'll be the first president not to be in New York on 9/11.
Yeah. So.
I didn't know he could cut. I didn't know he could cut leases.
Well, if they're on federal land, he can. So.
Oh, they are. Oh, okay. Well, Alaska's probably going to be very upset about that.
Well, I would think so, because every man, woman, and child there gets about $1,000 a year from oil.
They estimate there's enough oil and gas up there to provide global need of oil and gas for 75 years, just from there.
Well, I just want to make one more point. I happened to talk to some state officials yesterday, and they were state appraisers.
Oh, okay.
And these two, wow, and Clint, who always calls in, and I respect him immensely, they are going to appraise property values upward.
Of course.
There's no.
Of course.
There's
absolutely, yeah.
Yep. There's no getting around it. Two of these folks, one of them is responsible for Sweetgrass and Stillwater. The other feller was responsible for 8 other counties. And I asked him, I said, is it Park County or Gallatin? And he said, no. I said, well, that's good, sir, because you might not survive if you went over there and started appraising property, because folks are a little upset.
I would say they are.
Hey, look, and in China, there are over 100 million now empty apartments and condos because Evergrande went belly up, the largest real estate company in the country, and the other 3 next in line are all on the mark and ready to collapse. Because guess what, buddy? No one bought property. They, we'll build a house for everyone and they'll come. They didn't.
Well, we got a place for the homeless here. Then China's on. Let's get them over there.
Yeah, why are we sending them to China?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, get them over there.
Plane load after plane load. Here you go. They all want to be.
Well, what's amazing is even mobile homes are being assessed higher than they were the previous year.
Yeah,
and we know, Tom, according to Dave Ramsey, they're not supposed to appreciate.
Yeah.
I gotta ask.
So now you know.
Can you imagine President Xi of China saying, "We don't want any more American drug addicts and they're insane and they're murderers. They keep sending us their worst people."
There you go.
Well, he ought to get together with the mayor of New York, because the mayor of New York seems to be very upset about all the folks that are.
And this guy's a former cop. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Gee, what kind of a cop was he?
Well, I mean, de Blasio never had the gonads to say, "Oh, I don't care about the city." This guy just says, "I've given up on it. I have no hope.
Yeah, I've given up. I don't care." Yeah.
A mayor can't say that.
It's not on my watch anymore. So
no.
Good luck.
Bongino made a very good point the other day that this particular he worked for this gentleman, and when he was a New York City policeman, and he's not what he's propped up to be. He's not a very good. He wasn't a very good chief of police in those days, and of course he's not a very good mayor. Yeah. And New York is suffering because of it. And it's one of one of the things, you allow yourself to be a sanctuary city. Now all of a sudden you're going to complain because. You know,
and I don't think I think he can declare they aren't one anymore. So I don't know what's going on there, but better them than us, Jerry.
Well, Bozeman is a sanctuary town, isn't it?
Boy, I don't know if they ever got that passed or not. I know Kirchhoff way back when wanted to make it one, and I don't know. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing.
You lost the caller that was waiting.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Well, I'm sorry.
I thought I had it plotted down, but I didn't. Okay.
Well, I'm talking too long. And it's probably our good friend, vice presidential candidate Nancy.
I would bet it is.
It was Nancy. You're right. Yeah, that's true.
Right. Well, let's get her on the line because that young lady has got always the best to say. So I'll get off the phone.
Okay. All right. Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Bye-bye.
So long. 522 Talk is the number. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Hey, good morning, Corey. There's a little bit of frost on the pumpkins this morning.
Yeah.
A little bit of frost. I like that.
It was a little nippy when I drove in this morning.
Okay. I got a couple of points to make, but I want to start out, with this illegal immigration. I'm sure that you've heard all these sanctuary cities are getting what they asked for. O'Hare Airport in Chicago has 433 illegals living in the airport, and these people are complaining, and they don't like the accommodations or whatever, but they fail to realize that they are illegally in our country, and I guess a few have escaped out into our society. We don't know who or what these people are or what they represent, and you're mentioning New York City. Absolutely. They're getting what they asked for, and I am so delighted that the New Yorkers finally realized what sanctuary means, and they're getting it twofold. And 20,000 New York students are illegal aliens. They had to hire special interpreters, language interpreters, and everything else, and the cost is astronomical. So. But I want to get into, you were mentioning China. I want to talk to you about the Chinese wall is collapsing. You know, it was built from 300 BC until 17th century AD, and there's holes. So there's people vandalism, and there's people coming in and out of China. Also, they're getting what they deserve, illegal immigration, since they're sending so many of their people, operatives, here into our country. But my main point today is this BRICS. We're hearing a lot of newscasts talking about BRICS. And I want to say this. It made me think about our Fort Knox. When we were kids growing up, we always heard about Fort Knox. You don't hear about it anymore. So I did a little bit of research, and in 1939, Congress authorized the sale of military land to our treasury for the sole purpose of depositing our precious metals. And today we're supposed to have like 141.3 million ounces of gold, which amounts to 4,580 tons, and that is at present value worth about $6.22 billion. But I have a question. I don't think that there's any gold bullion left in our Fort Knox. I don't trust our government. Do you think there's any gold left in there? Because this BRICS is supposed to start January 2024, and they're going to be using gold bullion as their currency instead of the American dollar. What do you think?
I'm pretty sure there's gold in Fort Knox.
How can you be sure? Do you trust our government?
Well, I trust the people around it. It's on an army base. It's guarded, I mean,
look, the largest gold reserves in the world are under New York City, under the Federal Reserve Bank in New York City, the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank. In fact, they have 2/3 of Germany's gold still, and it's been a 70-year effort by Germany to demand it back from the United States.
So you're telling me, in other words, we have a safety net. This BRICS, this BRICS that want to use gold instead of the American dollar bill. So we're safe. We have a lot of gold to trade to keep our heads up above water. Is that what it is?
Well, that's where we're not backed up by the gold standard anymore, so it doesn't really matter what gold is. So.
Well, that's what they're planning on.
Look, all the gold ever found, discovered, dug up, mined, whatever you want to say, is the same as the Barracks Hotel.
The Baxter. The Baxter.
Oh, the Baxter Hotel. It's a block by a block and 80 feet high. That's there's not much gold. There's not that much gold.
Bricks?
Yeah.
What about bricks? They're supposed to start their transactions in January 2024, according to my research. But the way Russia's going and China's going, I mean, we're, like you've said, China's in a recession. They're in deflation. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's what they're saying. What do you think?
No, it's not going to happen because, they've been trying to get South Africa in there as well. And,
yes, they are.
And that's been kind of a
they just met in Johannesburg.
Yeah. Yeah, so
South Africa, even though it's a mess, and the South African Party is a mess and corrupt as hell, they don't want to lose the access to other markets and the opportunities they have now. No, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, the whole continent of Africa is a mess, and I'm telling you, there's 54 countries that make up Africa, and there is absolutely no reason why we have to take in African illegal immigrants in this country or any other country should, because it's just not reasonable to do this. It's breaking us financially. So I don't know. I think, like I told you last week, I think there's going to be race wars, and I think that they're starting already in New York City.
Well, Nancy, that's why you keep hearing me say, everyone's worried about China and Russia going around the world and opening up a base here, going to this. Let them go spend money for 70 years, right? Well, you've already done your part. Let China go rebuild everywhere. Let Russia rebuild what they've destroyed. What are you doing?
I agree with you 100%. But what are we going to do about these corrupt officials in Washington, D.C., deep state, and everybody else that's got their hands on this and a military-industrial complex? They're making billions of dollars. I don't think they're not going to give in that easy.
Vote, Nancy.
We got to go, darling. We're at the top of the hour. We're running out of time. Bottom of the hour, sorry.
Okay, I'm going to have a cup of coffee and a donut, and I'll wait for you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye for now. All right. Well, we're off to a good start this morning, aren't we, Shane?
So, you're cutting it close, buddy.
I know. We'll be right back right after these important words. Stay tuned. We're not going anywhere. 27 minutes for the top of the hour. Tom and Shane on Saturday. Happy to be here and happy to have you along with us. Gas just went up to $4.09 in anticipation, I think, of Biden cutting the oil leases in Alaska, I think. So,
well, that and the Russians and the Iranians have cut back, and so have the Saudis.
And OPEC and all the other ones, yeah. Hey, if you need a job, Gallatin County, they're going to host a job fair. It's going to be at the fairgrounds Tuesday, September 12th, from 12 to 6 in exhibit buildings 2 and 3. And they're going to have about 30 businesses out there. Gallatin County will be there, City of Bozeman, Montana State University, the Belgrade School District, Town Pump, Montana Highway Patrol, PGA's Plumbing, First Security Bank, Lurkines, Bridger Bowl, Smith's, Lowe's, will all be out there. So, and McDonald's. So if you've ever wondered, if you've ever wanted to know what the secret recipe for making fries is, now's your chance. So you can get over there and or know how to make a Big Mac and all that stuff. So speaking of that, did you heard, Shane, I think that somebody's suing Burger King because it's 35% smaller than it looks in the advertisements or whatever.
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
So you can be the one to make McDonald's look like it does in the commercial. So.
Well, have you seen their new one? They've got like an 8-ounce patty on a new burger, the big burger or whatever. It looks probably 6 ounces maybe. I don't know.
That's half a pound. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had that at Burger. I had that at Burger Bob's yesterday. The cardiac arrest is what they call the.
Oh, you've got a couple of great places there.
We do
have even been diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Yeah. Well, guess what, Jane? Prosecutors say they will ask a grand jury to return an indictment against Hunter Biden before September 29th. David Weiss has informed a federal judge in Delaware on Wednesday. So let me paint a scenario for you, Shane. You can tell me if I'm right or wrong.
I love this part. This is the best part.
We've got to bring the hammer down on Hunter Biden. If we don't, we can't bring the hammer down on President Trump.
Well, it's just beyond belief. I think the Democratic Party want him indicted, and they want him in jail for 3 or 4 months, whatever. Anything to get LBJ. I will not, run or accept the nomination for president of the United States. That's coming within the next 3 months anyway. But yeah, this is all a setup for Joe to walk away.
Well, is it to deflect from him?
They'll throw anybody under the bus to save their party. They will.
Yeah.
They will.
Well, I'm just wondering if they lay everything at Hunter, then that takes it away from Joe.
That's right. So he can walk away without being,
Yeah. It was all Hunter doing everything, and so he's the bad guy. And Joe knew nothing. He was Sergeant Schultz. Know nothing.
No, anyway, you let me finish. I didn't interrupt you. No. So keep in mind, they want to save the party, and they want to say Congress can't waste time investigating Biden for the last part, for the next year. That's what this is all an attempt at, is to get this story off the page.
Well, it looks like it's going on the page.
Mm-hmm. But they don't want Congress investigating Biden anymore, so he's got to walk away for that reason too. Then the Democrats can accuse the Republicans of going after an ex-president. That's laughable.
Well, a person convicted of unlawful possession of a firearm by a convicted person shall be imprisoned in a state prison for not less than 2 years or more than 10 years. And a person who has been issued a permit under whatever it is may not be convicted of a violation of this section. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, it's the NICS firearms check list that, the dirty little secret that the FBI knows every gun of, who owns every gun in your country, basically. I mean, you got a gun registry because everyone has to file one now, to get a gun. So,
well, to buy one, but you don't have to, farmers can sell guns back and forth with each other. And
yeah, I know that.
Record of that.
They, ever since they put that in, we talked about that. So.
Well, will he serve time, I guess, is the question. Weiss at first said, I can't do anything about that. And, of course, they let the statute of limitations run out on his tax charges. So, we find ourselves there. Speaking of tax charges, I saw on the news the other day that the Chrisley folks, Chrisley Knows Best TV show, if you ever watched it, got their sentences reduced by a few months. So they're still going to spend over 10 years in prison, but they're going to spend maybe a couple of years less than they first got. So anyway.
Well, the important thing is it's, it's part of the news cycle. And with 454 million guns in your country, it's something to talk about. It is. It's just, the numbers are up again in 2023. Your April, as of April of this year, 11 million guns were purchased. Last year was 38,876,000. So, it's just, it's one of these things that you got to look at and say, wow, that's just too unbelievable. But, we keep our eye on these things for everybody to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a result of the Brady bill. We talked about that.
Yeah. From our text line, 406-478-8298. 2 points. I used to joke that the Democrats were trying to arrest anyone who ever had a cup of coffee with President Trump. Now it's becoming reality. Biden will be in Hanoi, Vietnam soon, and I expect he will talk about his time fighting in hand-to-hand combat in the Mekong Delta region. So, well, I'm not sure. I think he's gonna. Yeah, I think he's gonna go after that. So. Our nation is doomed. Your callers don't even know what sanctuary city means. Sad, and they vote. Scary.
Well, the amazing thing is, it's the woke people that created it, and they're the ones who that know the least about it.
I was going to say, yeah. We've got gas at $4.19 at Four Corners. We got $4.09 at Town Pump here in town. So, yeah, we're over $4 in gas and probably headed higher, Shane, I would guess.
Well, absolutely. I mean, for the first time in a long time, it's you look and everybody says, "Oh no, oil's not going to go up." There's just it's true that people are using less, right? I mean, they just are because of cost. But the reality is that it's coming, it's coming towards 100. Brent now is over 90 today, and crude oil out of Texas, $87.20 and 29 cents. Still on natural gas, I'm concerned, it's only at $2.61.
Yeah,
got to get to $6 for those guys in your country to make any money on it.
Well, we've talked a lot that somewhere between 60 and 80 is kind of the sweet spot to go after it. And be profitable.
Yeah, I'm talking about natural gas. So it has to
yeah, it's got that's a different story. Yeah. So,
but you and I have always agreed. We look. We need lubrication. Without lubrication and ball bearings, no industry around the world. And you and I have said for a decade, got to get off oil, got to get off natural gas, or got to get off oil because, something else has to run planes, trains, and automobiles, and they've chosen electricity, right? That's where the world's going, baby.
Yeah. From our text line, 4788298, Russia won't rebuild Ukraine unless Trump gives it to his buddy Vlad. Well, Trump's got to be in power first before he can do anything. I don't think he's going to give anything to anybody unless he's there. So
yeah, that's true.
Here's a theory. Hunter Biden is a grifter and called his father during meetings to try to act like it was important. Well, if he was there, then we've got a problem.
Well, they have a bigger one. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I know. Let's take some phone calls. 406-522-TALK is the number. 406-522-8255. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Hey, I just want to say it's good that gas is getting so high because Town Pump, they need all the money they can get to build that new Town Pump out there.
Yeah.
Wrestler, because we only have like 3 between, Belgrade and Four Corners already.
I know.
And then, 2 across the street from each other on 19th out there at Baxter, and then next to all the homeless people. So we got to keep giving those people their money. They're really struggling. We just got to support these oil companies, guys, because they're really, really hurting. We got to just do it with a warm heart and a smile on your face. But what I wanted to get to is you were talking about somebody suing Burger King for the small patties, and it just immediately made me think of one of my favorite movies ever made. And I don't care what anybody says. I swear the best movies made were the late 80s and early 90s, maybe mid-90s even. But in 92, 93, 94 somewhere, Falling Down with Robert Duvall and Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
That's just great.
Burger King, all I can say is should just be happy that they're only suing them because the way he handled the burger not looking the way it looked in the advertisement was a little different in that movie. And if you listen to Dan Bongino, he has a phrase that he says, "Don't get dead." And ever since that movie, I've always told myself, Connor, don't fall down. No matter how bad they deserve it, don't fall down.
There you go.
That's how I go through life. But man, what a great movie! Watch that one. I swear to God, the best movies are made back then.
That was an excellent movie.
It was. It was before like all the explosions and everything got ridiculous, and Hollywood took over with the special effects, where they actually put time into like picking the right cast. Like Robert Duvall is so awesome as the cop in that movie. He's right at the end of his retirement and ends up shooting a guy at the end that has a squirt gun in his hand. Like, what a freaking movie. So great. But have a great day, guys.
All right. Thanks for the call. Yeah. When I first came to Bozeman, it came up in February of 93 for a job interview and got the job. But while I was here, I stayed at one of the motels down on Main Street. And I went over to the Ellen, which was showing movies back then. I guess it still is, but I mean, it was a regular movie house now it's kind of everything.
Yeah,
But anyway, the movie I saw was Falling Down with Douglas and some other, and Robert Duvall and whatever. And the caller is right. It was a great movie, and where he goes in to get the burger, and talks about it. It doesn't look like the picture up on the marquee there. So, but yeah, Falling Down. Yeah, if you get a chance to see it on one of the streaming services, it's well worth your time. So I would agree with the caller on that one, because I was thoroughly entertained for 90 minutes watching that thing. So,
well, what's really amazing is that probably the two best burgers in your country on the East Coast is the Church Burger. I mean, it's cool. You can get this little container with 6 or 12 of their little mini, and then of course the In-N-Out on the West Coast, and they're sort of private operations, but boy, they put out a great burger. A&W in Canada puts out the best burger. That's just it.
Yeah. All right. For our text line, 478-8298, they can't investigate Biden, but look what they're doing to Trump. And that's from our grateful listener, Gay. Thanks, Gay, for chiming in this morning. Appreciate that. Bongino is dumb as a box of rocks. Do you guys even know what a sanctuary city means? And Nancy is weird. Of course, there's gold in Fort Knox. Stephen Mnuchin took a government jet with his third trophy wife to see it. There's more gold in the Federal Reserve Bank. Nobody goes to jail for lying on their firearms application. You guys need to get a clue. Well, we'll find out because they're indicting him for something. That one is
anyone that says that is absolutely wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, they put a lot of people in prison for exactly what Hunter Biden's done.
Yeah, so I don't think he's going to end up there. But
I mean, he had one of his attorneys on this week on CNN saying, "Well, he bought the gun, but he never bought any ammo, and then it was never loaded." That's not the point. He lied. He lied on the form.
That's right. Yeah. You think Joe Biden is this brilliant strategist? Yeah, we know he doesn't even know where he is, but you think he's part of some big scheme to steal money from China? No, I think he's just the recipient of what his son's doing, and he's just not turned his back on the money. I think he's probably clueless about what Hunter's doing. All he worries about is the checks show up.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Clinton grifting, 2.0.
Yeah. China Wall didn't work either. I don't know, the China Wall worked pretty damn good, Shane, I think.
It did for a long time. And the remarkable thing is now you've got a problem with a lot of people crossing over from Canada to the United States for the first time. And it's really weird that it's happening, because the Biden administration isn't honoring the one cross-country guideline that Canada and the United States share, where a person can't cross into Canada to get to the United States. The U.S. sends them right back, vice versa. Someone can't cross into the United States to get to Canada. And once again, here you go. The dirty little secret is kept under the carpet about what, the Biden administration isn't doing. So that's why it's happening.
Yeah. Do you know how many people go to jail for lying on the firearms application? 0, unless they commit a crime with a weapon. But Republicans want Hunter's head on a stick.
Well, the bottom line is, if someone isn't prosecuted for breaking a federal law, then they're not going to jail. That's what we're talking about.
Pretty simple, I guess.
That's right. Not accountable.
Well, so they say anyway. So
yeah.
Well, we'll know it all on the 29th, I guess, or before. That they say in the court filing on Wednesday, Hunter Biden's lawyer said their client has continued to abide by the parameters of the firearms diversion agreement, which calls for him to remain drug-free without committing additional crimes in order to see the gun charge dismissed. So there is a gun charge for lying on the application.
Well, whenever we talk about this, I remiss, because I remember once, I don't know how many years ago, we talked about laws Montana has that they should get rid of.
Oh, yeah.
So, this one's my favorite, 200 years old. You can be arrested and your flock seized if you cross a railroad track and hold up a train of cattle or sheep or even pigs, that's pretty funny.
Well, in other news, a long-awaited grand jury report released Friday provides a look at how Senator Lindsey Graham, a Republican of South Carolina, avoided being charged in Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis's election interference case against former President Trump and 18 other defendants. And this is a mess down there, Shay. They want to try them all at once. 150 some witnesses and there was a movie, Nicolas Cage, I think, was in it, that he was a gangster and defended like 20 gangsters in some kangaroo courtroom. I don't know. Supposedly a true story, but I don't know. Anyway.
Well, we talked, again, the woke, the overreach. It's always an overreach. That's the only problem that the Democrats haven't corrected in trying to secure that news cycle. But it's going to be interesting because Navarro, Trump's great negotiator with China, he was convicted. So let's see what happens for lying to Congress, supposedly. Can you imagine? A Republican gets, convicted of lying to Congress first. Of course.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been a Democrat that lied to Congress.
No, that wouldn't happen. Well, the report shows that the jury recommended taking the enormous step of bringing charges against the sitting U.S. senator as well as two former Georgia senators, both of whom were defeated in the runoff election held the day before January 6th. If you remember that, we were Herschel Walker and that group. In fact, a majority of the grand jury members, 13 of them, back bringing charges against Graham, but 7 other members voted against doing so, exhibiting for the first time the split in the Fulton County grand jury. So in contrast, the report showed 20 of 21 jurors recommended charges against Trump's attorney, Rudy Giuliani. So we'll see what's going on there. So, as I say, this is going to be a
Biden dumpster fire.
This is a what do they call it? A circular firing squad.
Well, it is in some, except it's a circular firing squad around the Democratic tent.
Yeah.
Of minorities, because you have 19 people now that can go into discoveries with anybody in the Biden government. They can call anybody they want now in. So this could go on for years, and all these people would have, can you imagine finally getting the Attorney General or Homeland Securities, these guys under discovery with lawyers sitting across from them? It's not like Congress. This is a lot different.
Yeah. Well, the House Judiciary Committee, they've launched an investigation August 24th into whether Willis coordinated with the Department of Justice in bringing charges against former President Donald Trump. And Jim Jordan is requesting documents relating to her communications with federal prosecutors and officials. And according to a letter Jordan sent Willis, Willis fired back Thursday telling Jordan in the letter that he was illegally intruding on an active criminal case violating Georgia's sovereignty as a state and undermining the separation of powers. So
it's so convenient.
She is not taking he's not taking this lying down.
Yeah, no, she's not taking
And there's also investigations into her as well. So, So
we'll see where it goes.
Well, it will. Yeah, we'll know more, of course, I guess, by the end of this month. So, it'll
all converge, because that's this whole thing with regards to these charges, and particularly in Georgia, about setting up court dates, will collide with Hunter Biden and what happens to him. So, again, it's politics. It's all politics.
From our text line, 478-8298, I guess a Supreme Court justice lying on a government forum is okay. Well,
no, there's a difference between lying and not reporting, okay? That's a wrong thing to do. And they've already admitted, and they were wrong in not completely reporting and being transparent. But what Democrats transparent? Like, again, it's the people throwing this, the rocks that live in the glass house. It's just incredible.
Well, we'll see. Yeah. I assume they're talking about Justice Thomas, or do they think Kavanaugh lied, or?
No, it's Justice Thomas and, the one that starts with A. What's his name?
Alito.
Thank you.
That's why I'm here. I'm here to help you.
Yeah, I on good days I can remember all 9 justices. Okay, and okay days I can 6.
Yeah.
Boy, but some days it's really tough. I got to look it up.
It's not easy being us.
No.
Well, the market's going crazy, Shane. The last month or so, we've had weeks of non-production, and it's been kind of a roller coaster ride over on Wall Street.
Well, that's right. It's a bear market, and so it's a short market. And as I've said to you over the last year, all these runs that you see, that these moves of several hundred points, on any one of the 3 exchanges, and the one to watch, and the market that you've got to worry about is China. I mean Japan. Japan is flirting with 36,000 again, so we got to go, and maybe I'll have time later. Thank you, everyone, for calling.
All right. That's going to wrap it up for the first hour, but we still have 2 full hours to go. We're going to talk about a lot more things. 10 things Medicare, 10 of the drugs Medicare is going to reduce the price on. So we got to talk about that when we come back, and a bunch of other stuff. So stay tuned. A lot more to come on Tom and Shane Saturday morning. 7 minutes after the hour of 9 a.m. Mountain Time. It's Saturday. It's September 9th, 2023. 9/11 coming up in a couple days. Shane, 23 years since that happened.
It's a remarkable thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the first disaster in the 21st century. It was interesting seeing the boys at Como Lake in in Europe this year, in Italy, northern Italy, and then they interviewed the president of Italy and the woman that's the conservative prime minister. And we talked about this 8 years ago.
Yeah.
In 75 years, Italy's had 68 governments on an average of 1.4 months a year.
Maybe we should think about that here. Maybe we need to change governments we change presidents. Well, everybody's months, gone. 4 years. You're out of here. You can't come back.
Yeah, 14 months. Every 14 months, something's got to slow you down, right?
This is illegal. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Yes, it is.
That's right. Okay, the mob runs the government. Now they don't. Oh, now they do. Yeah, now they don't. I never understood that about the mafia joking. They always talked about wanting Cuba as their own country, and boy, that was a big deal back in the 50s.
Yeah.
Well, they sort of screwed that up and got, dusted in the U.S., but it seems...
Well, they didn't take out Castro quick enough. That was their big problem.
That's right, yeah.
They didn't think he was going anywhere, but guess what?
Yeah. When you look back on that, of all the people, the mob is the one that you think would have dusted him, right?
You would think so, yeah. I mean, how hard would that have been?
Well, they could get at anyone else, even themselves.
I mean, we've taken out, 3 presidents with gunfire? Well,
that's right. It's happened, yeah.
I don't know, Well, anyway, last week, Clint called in about the HAARP program, weather control, and had a chance to look.
You looked it up.
I did. I looked it up, just like I told him I would. So, yeah, it was a government program. They claim to have gotten rid of it in 2013, but a lot of people still think it's going on in secret locations here and there. And what it is, it's owning the weather. It's being able to control the weather with with earthquakes, hurricanes, tsunamis, global communication, and all sorts of things like that. And the U.S. patent of a key developer of the HAARP and other documentary evidence support the claims that there is no doubt that electromagnetic weapons capable of being used in warfare do exist, and the HAARP's project $300 million price tag also suggests more was going on than meets the eye. So that would be pretty interesting if anybody who can control the weather, we saw Burning Man, you want to put some rain over there and sog people in. And we saw in Ukraine that the Russians were stopped until the ground froze for their tanks and things like that. So, if you could control weather in certain areas, boy, that would be a big deal militarily, or if you made the Sahara a garden by, rain and whatever in the Sahara, maybe, famine would be a thing of the past.
Well, I love anagrams, FBI, CIA, UFOs, and of course, HAARP stands for High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. What a nice anagram. Yeah. But if we're going to talk about anagrams, we should talk about golf. Yeah. Golf. Gentlemen only, ladies forbidden. Now, where is the woke on golf? I mean, gentlemen only, ladies forbidden. Why hasn't the woke movement gone after golf?
Well, they don't know that that's what it means, or that's what it meant when it first started, I guess.
That's right.
It was a gentleman's game. That's right. Ladies need not apply. Babe Dickerson included. So.
But look, the reality is this is something the Defense Department wanted for a weapon, and then when it was disclosed they had it, then they came up with it's actually for the weather. No, look, the only thing that has anything to do with the weather, I've told you this. Go look it up. Google sunspots. All right, sunspots determine whether our planet's hot or cold, and we're in a period now of about 11-year period. This is the 7th year, so we got 4 more years to go of extreme modern, where the sun is producing an unusual number of sunspots, heating up the planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the government is working on so many things. We've got the it's not the UFO project anymore. I forget what it's called now. The UPH XYZ program or something that they're doing, and of course they've got this secret location with all the spaceships and the bodies and everything, but nobody seems to have any photos, movies, or absolute proof there's anything anywhere.
Well, Trump told the whole world, okay, when he created Space Force, the cover for Space Force, we got to be in space. We need a force up there. No. Space Force is to deal with this issue, to find out what the heck is going on. Yeah. Odds are they'll find it's man-made. Probably the Americans, they just don't want to tell anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's our own stuff that went bad.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, my feelings on intelligent life in the universe are well documented.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. You don't believe in evolution. We had that great talk on a podcast.
I believe in evolution. I think evolution is what happens. And that's why
there's sentient intelligence all over the universe.
No, there isn't.
Yeah, sure there is.
Well, how do you figure?
Hundreds of billions and with the hundreds of billions of universes out there. Yeah. No, I'm sorry, God. It's if you believe in that evolution stuff, then creation could only happen on one planet, probably, but evolution is all over the place.
Well, yeah, I'd agree with that. I just disagree that there is intelligent life in the universe capable of reaching us.
Well, that's right, and we're not intelligent, so you pegged it to begin with.
I'm going to say we've gone to
there's no intelligence.
We've gone to the moon. That's like driving from here to Four Corners.
That's right.
Equivalent. So anyway, now going into that, well, let's talk about the government is they're planning to negotiate lower drug prices with Medicare. So if you're on Medicare, we've got a list of the programs that are going to be cheaper to get. And I hope I can pronounce all these, Shane.
We don't have to. The bottom line is that Trump started this process. He got it done for the VA. He was trying to get it done for the American people. The Democrats held it up. And it's one of these things that they've done a good job, and they do. They take over something that they claimed it was theirs, that they could have done for 20 years. And because, they know they have to do this. You can't ignore the price of insulin. I mean, it's just ridiculous at what it is in your country. And that's really the big one, right?
Yeah.
So
that is the big one. Well, among the list, we've got Eliquis, which is blood clots, and that's from Bristol Myers, and we've got Jardiance, which is diabetes and heart failure, and Xarelto. We've heard all these on TV. Prevention, that's blood clots also. Janova, I think, diabetes. Phrexiga, I don't know. Diabetes, heart disease, kidney disease.
Thomas is insulin. No, you don't need to go through this list because everybody.
Well, some of these people that are taking it out there might like to know this, Shane.
Well, they read about it if they're taking it, but everybody needs to know that the side effects of these are worse than the what you're dealing with for taking them.
Yeah. Well, in some cases, that's certainly true. So.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Entresto is heart failure.
This is between you and your doctor, like you and your priest, or you and your preacher.
Enbrel is for rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, and psoriatic psoriasis. Imbruvica, blood cancers, Stellaria for psoriasis and psoriasis arthritis, and Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. And Novolog is for diabetes. So those are a few, at least. Those are 10 that are going to be hopefully less expensive for folks who are on Medicare. And so we'll see.
Well, I'm taking warfarin every day, which started out as a rat poisoning.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that for 25 years because of, needing thin blood because of my heart. But, the glory drug I have is Synthroid because I have no thyroid. So and your thyroids produce all the chemicals your brain needs to operate. And I take this one little pill and it produces all the necessary needs for my brain. I'm a lucky guy.
Well, that explains a lot.
Yeah, I'm smart because of Synthroid.
Now we know where pill brain comes from.
That's right.
Good job, man. Good job. Well, in other news, South Florida City is going to be, guess what? It's going to be the first state that is going to be an LGBTQ sanctuary city. So Lake Worth Beach, Florida has become the state's first to declare itself a safe haven for LGBTQ people and their families. They voted unanimously by the city commission to declare the city a safe haven, approving resolution that reiterates the city's commitment to protecting human rights for all individuals. So the very fact that you even consider doing something like this, I don't know.
And this isn't political. The amazing thing about this is that this is a solid Democratic area in the state. Number one, number two, they're trying to upset DeSantis in his bid for presidency, which is already upset and confused. But it's fascinating how these things come about by the politics of the left to create some kind of, you know, thing to look at for the news cycle, and everyone went,
yeah.
Nobody talked about it, so we did.
Well, nearly 500 bills threatened to roll back the rights of LGBTQ people were introduced this year by lawmakers in more than 40 states, according to the American Civil Liberties Union. And at least 84 became law, more than doubling last year's total. I can't imagine a law that would single out LGBTQ people.
Yeah, but they're confusing this with transgenderism and all the issues in school that you have with all what this minority group is doing. I mean, there's no question that the Democratic Party has done everything they can to dumb Americans down. Don't educate them. We want to control them so they can't be educated. If they're educated, we can't do it.
Yeah.
And this is another step in that direction. And it's all political. And it's one of those things like you've covered well. Yep. Abortion will be on the ticket in 24, and so will transgenderism, because
absolutely
you're a racist if you can't deal with these things.
That's true. Well, the new laws, which took effect this summer, prevent health care providers from administering gender-affirming care to transgender minors and certain adults, bar transgender women and girls from competing on female sports teams, prevent transgender individuals from using restrooms and locker rooms consistent with their gender identity, and limit talk of gender and sexuality in public school classrooms. So I can understand protecting bathrooms and protecting women's sports and whatever. Where's the National Organization of Women? Where are they on this transgender crap?
That's right. Well, the Eagle Man just defined the secularist philosophy of man is great. He's greater. He's greatest at when he's in control. And so here we go. Secularism, of course, defining all of the issues Tom just pointed out, and they think it's working well for them. We'll see. At some point, you'd think the American people would say, "I've had enough." You would think, right? I would think.
Mm-hmm. And a federal judge in June temporarily blocked the gender-affirming health care ban from taking effect. So even the judicial leaders of the country can't understand the mutilation of children is a bad thing.
Well, yeah, of course, it's all political. And again, how much is too much? Because it's another 4 years before this gets to the Supreme Court. So, it's not a good thing for women. I don't understand this, Thomas. I mean, everything about this is against women.
A lot of it is, yeah, that's for sure.
I mean, these people actually get up in front of women who support them and say, "I can't define what you are." What an insult. Yeah. That's like Biden getting up and saying, if you're black and you're going to vote for Trump, you ain't black. I mean, that's what's going on here, in your face. In your face.
Yeah. Well, this community, they're building the plane while they're flying it, Shane.
Yeah, that's right. That's my gosh.
That's what I see. So yeah, whatever comes up, we need a wing over here. So throw that wing over there. We need a propeller up here in the front. So yeah, that's. I don't know where this is all going to end, Shane. Unfortunately,
it'll all end in the Supreme Court. That's where.
Yeah. Well, I'm not even sure I trust the Supreme Court to think logically or realistically. So.
Well, thank goodness we don't have your, Attorney General on the Supreme Court.
Well, thank God Garland's not there. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
What a nightmare.
Yeah. Well, we've got a new poll out for Matt Rosendale is leading Navy SEAL and businessman Tim Sheehy by in a hypothetical race. The 52% said they would support Rosendale, while 21% they would report Sheehy. More than a quarter of respondents were undecided. So they asked 1,484 and 18 likely Republican primary voters on that. So we'll see.
That's a big surprise.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of that, I saw last night on the news that Tim Scott would beat Biden by 2 points, and Haley would beat him by 3 or 4 points.
It's just misdirection. Trying to, we got to deal with Trump. Oh my God!
Well, there you are.
Yeah. In the meantime, the one thing you said the Democratic Party would do was bury Kennedy. That he can't get on anybody's show on any of the networks or on CNN or MSNBC. None of them will let him talk. It's quite fascinating. And we find out this week that the first primary now in the Democratic Party will not be the Iowa caucus, and it will not be, in New Hampshire. It'll be
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Yeah, South Carolina. Yeah.
But Biden needs to get off the mark a winner.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad that the Democrat Party, they're not going to give RFK any break at all. It's instead of weekend at Bernie's, it's a weekend at Roberts. So, yeah.
It's bad enough what the American people are having to deal with this president at home with prices. We talked about it. But for the Democratic Party to destroy themselves like this, because there are those that really want him to run. They really do. I mean, they're insistent about it, and it just But there's too many. There's too many. I want to keep my seat guys. They're saying no. He's got to walk away. He's got to walk away.
From our text line, 478-8298, I don't think anyone that has ever voted Democrat has been accused of being smart.
Oh, we passed upon the Tester thing first. I want your opinion. Make a call on it. Does Tester win or lose the seat? Do you go all blue in Montana?
Boy, Tester's tough. I mean, he is.
Well, yeah, but
I think he'll win. I
don't think he will, because I think it'll be decided by Great Falls, and it won't be the upper line. What's it called along the northern part of Montana? The High Line. Thank you. I think it'll be what'll put the Republican over the top will be Great Falls and Billings.
Well, Rosendale's got an awful lot of baggage ahead in the last election. I mean.
You're right. It depends on what guy they pick for the election, what the Republicans pick.
Yeah, that's true. So,
I'll ask you after the primary.
Yeah. So,
all right. We'll have to have something to talk about, next year before the election.
Yeah. From our text line, 478-8298, it's Jen. Come for me, Deep State.
Yeah, very good.
They can't go for golf, guys. They're dudes now. There you go.
That's even funny.
Yeah, where are all the male golfers that want to enter the ladies PGA? Where are those guys?
I
mean, you would think they would be.
Jump on that one, right?
Yeah, if you're number 700 in the PGA, you could be number 4 in the women's.
Number
maybe.
1.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, did you see that young girl at the U.S. Open tennis? Oh, she's fabulous.
Yeah, he was a killer, yeah. All right, time's up, but one more from our text line. Fasting is free and will cure or prevent most diseases. So,
true.
A lot of people like fasting, Shane.
I do. Yeah. 1 day a week.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, 1 day a year for me.
One luncheon. Just one lunch for you.
Yeah, I skip breakfast. That's my fast. All right, that's going to do it for this segment. Hey, we still got a full hour and a half to go, so don't go away. A lot more to come. We've got a lot more stuff we've got to talk about here. Oh, geez, guys. Are you ready for ranked choice voting in Montana? And what about the No Labels Party? Are they going to be here? We'll talk about it when we come back right after this. 27 minutes before the top of the hour. Jeez. Starting to sound like Joe Biden.
Yeah, that's right.
It's Saturday. It's September 9th, 2023. It's 9:33 a.m. Happy to be here with you. Tom and Shane on the air. Well, Montana property tax owners' taxable values are one key part of the property tax picture in the state, but another important factor is the mill levies set by the local governments, and counties across Montana are finalizing those mill levies ahead of the deadline next week. So by Monday, September 11th, all counties will have to report to the Montana Department of Revenue how many mills they will charge on this year's property tax bills. And in many cases, that number may be going down in a partial counterweight to the significant increase this year in property taxable values. You pay a lot of property taxes in Canada, Shane?
Yeah, everybody does up here. It's pretty ornery, and it's one of those things that was created to build schools. That's what it was really for.
I was going to say, with only 30 million people, you've got a lot of expenses that only a few number have to pay for.
Well, we have a lot of infrastructure like you, but the difference between your country and ours is we're like the old communist countries. We maintain ours. The old communist countries, one of the reasons they collapsed is they didn't maintain everything. They just rebuilt.
Yeah.
And that's been your habit, Well, we really need another school. They just want to build one, not fix one up.
Yeah. There you go. Well, while counties are responsible for calculating and assessing property taxes, the rates they submit to the state include not only their own mills, but also those charged by cities and towns, school districts, fire districts, and other special districts. The actual amount of property taxes charged is the taxable value multiplied by the total mill rates from all governmental jurisdictions a property resides in. So each mill is $1 per $1,000 of taxable value. So sometimes you can, if you know the number of mills, you can figure out what your tax bill will be, whether it's going up or going down. So,
well, the simple answer to mills is that the people of Montana should insist the legislature passes a law that whatever inflation rate there is, that they know that includes food and gas, which is around 18%, should be taken off the mill.
Yeah.
If it's an inflationary year, that comes right off the bill. So you're right off the. No matter what it should have been, it's down whatever inflation rate is. So right now you should be paying 18% less on your mills right now. But no, they gotta exist. You gotta pay them somehow.
Yeah. Well, there's always been a bone of contention as to whether a tax should be a percentage of something or whether it should be a fixed dollar amount.
That's right.
Exactly. So like on the gas tax, if you have a fixed dollar amount of so many cents, or So from our text line 478-8298, where are all the women who want to use the men's restroom? Well, I don't know where they are. So
only party girls ask that question.
I was going to say maybe Stormy Daniels. The only one. Well, no, she's already in there. So anyway, 80% of property taxes are for schools. Why do I have to pay for socialism school? Well, a lot of people ask that question.
Look what happened this week in New York. 20,000 illegal, immigrants descended as students upon their school district. 20,000.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? I mean, that would be like 2,000 where you are, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that'd be another school and a half.
Exactly. It's just
it's pretty bad. Well, of course, at my age, I don't have any kids that speak English, but
no, yours just bark a lot.
Yeah. Well, being in the military, you never know. But anyway, I don't begrudge paying property taxes for schools because I think it's important, even though I don't have any kids, rugrats in the school system here. I still think, the better educated populace we can put out, the better it is for all of us, hopefully, but when you look at the county commission, the city commission, and sometimes the people running the state, you wonder, is education all it's cracked up to be?
Well, it's our generation, the baby boomers, that created all this, paid for all this infrastructure in this whole entire continent. So, in the last 75 years, it's been us, baby, since 1945. We've done it all.
Yeah.
And the greatest generation, they got it started.
Yeah.
All those engineers, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, one of the groups is getting a lot of press lately, Shane, the No Labels group. They not Republicans, not Democrats, not Green Party, not socialists, not conservatives, not constitutionalists, but there they are, and they're ramping up efforts for a third-party ticket, and so they're signaling its intention to present a third-party candidate to run for president. And last time we had a serious third-party candidate was Ross Perot, as I recall.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And he did it for his personal dislike of the president, period.
That was an interesting race. A lot of people got behind Perot. They really did.
Yeah. Well, Bloomberg did that. Remember Bloomberg? He spent $1.2 trillion.
Oh, yeah.
And got nowhere.
Yeah.
Money
doesn't always do it, Shane.
For 100 and some million, whatever. Yeah.
It certainly helps, but yeah.
I think it was 700 million you spent, something like that. Something crazy.
Yeah, it was some weird amount. So, but yeah. The interesting thing about Perot and everything will bring us up to another thing that we want to talk about. In that election, the winner, which was Clinton, only got 43% of the vote. So that meant 57% of the country didn't get who they wanted.
That's right, because of Perot. That's right. Yeah.
So that brings us up to ranked choice voting in Montana. Now, several states have this, but
I just as a historian, I'll throw this out there because I really think it matters. I think that your country was better off having Clinton than another, 4 years of Bush Senior. I just, for whatever reason, it was the right thing at the right time. Same with Obama, but both him and Clinton blew the opportunity for their party. They really did,
Yeah. Well, the good thing about Clinton being president at that time, you had Newt Gingrich in Congress.
That's right.
And the contract with America. So under Clinton, a Republican Congress got the cap on welfare stopped, or put in place so that you can't, we had third generation people on welfare, and work requirements were put in. All that went away under Biden, and with the with the COVID thing, nobody was out there insisting you work or go look for a job or anything.
Clinton's 2020, 2095 or 1995 State of the Union address, the era of big government is over. And, in his second term, with Newt, they balanced the budget and they would get some good stuff done. And then, of course, he took a U-turn in the Oval Office.
Well, that's true. Yeah. So, but that's where we find ourselves. So.
That's right.
But, several states do ranked voting. Alaska is probably the only one that does it for the general election. New York City does it. Hawaii uses it for the Democratic Party only. Wyoming and Kansas use it for the presidential primaries in 2020. And there's several cities that use it. Oklahoma or Oakland, California, Berkeley, Cambridge, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Tacoma Park, Maryland, and Boulder, Colorado. And there's others that are in there: Minneapolis, St. Paul, and San Francisco, of course. But yeah, Clinton only got 43% of the vote. Bush got 37%. Perot got 18.9%. So a 56.3% of the population didn't get what they voted for. So.
Well, it's like 7-card poker, and the 5th card turned over on the table is the river rat.
Yeah.
And let's not forget that Clinton was impeached.
Yeah.
And
true.
So, the Democrats didn't even hesitate the moment they had the opportunity to impeach a Republican, even though it was all a lie. They did it to get back at him after what they did to, Mr. Clinton. So, part of the whole Trump, impeachment thing was Nancy Pelosi. Oh, and by the way, at 82, she's decided to run again for Congress 2 more years. She's getting 24. So she'll be 83. Here we go. Woohoo!
Well, trying to explain ranked choice voting for those who are unfamiliar with it. If you had a group of people wanting to go to a movie, let's say, everyone votes for their favorite movie, and the movie with the most votes win. But what if the winning movie only has a small fraction of the total votes? Many people would be disappointed. So, for example, you had 10 people going to the movie, and 2 voted for one movie, and everybody else voted for a different movie. Then everybody's disappointed because we're going to see the movie only 2 people wanted. So, So with rank,
and they were children because they have the right to vote too. So
sure.
We're going to see a kids movie.
That's right. We're not going there. Yeah, unless Donald Duck is Dirty Donald. Or
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
So instead of picking a favorite movie, everyone ranks the movies from their most preferred to the least preferred. And you count everyone's top choice. And if a movie gets more than half of the votes, then it's a winner. If not, the movie with the fewest votes is eliminated. And then for people who picked the eliminated movie as their number one, their second choice is now counted in the vote, and they repeat that until they get a winner. So until you have 50% of the people wanting the same candidate. So
there you go. Bingo.
So a lot of places are going to this because it seems on the cusp, particularly if you have several candidates, like for example the Republican debate. You got 8 people up there, so some of them have only 2 or 3 votes or whatever. But if you rank them, if everybody ranked each other, that might be a more fair debate to have the top 4 there than the top 8. I don't know.
The evil man rationalizes it so well.
I just don't know. It's a gift. So I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon here in Montana that we're going to have. Maine was the first state to use ranked choice voting for federal elections in 2018. That year's race for the state's second U.S. House district provides an illustration where nobody reached 50% of the vote. We also saw that in Georgia. They had to have a runoff because no candidate got 50% of the vote between Warnock and Herschel Walker and whatever. So we had to
the harsh reality about what you're talking about is that the Democrats have figured out a way to get around the concept of your republic. The rule of the majority, rights of the minority.
Right.
So if the majority is a minority, meaning 32% of 100, or in your case, 2 of 10 people going to the movie.
Yeah.
That's the minority, making the rules and having the rights.
Yeah.
And that's what Americans got to realize. If you're going to want serious change, you need a vast majority to get it done.
Yeah. Well, you may run into somebody out of state, of course. Obviously, they're out of state with clipboards, enticing you to do the ranked choice voting. And a friend of mine was talking to one of the poll takers the other day who said last week they were in Ohio for the abortion thing on the ballot and something else, some other cause they were promoting. So And this gal was from Kansas, so she's traveling all over the country, getting these petitions signed. And think of the cost of that, Shane. You got to put somebody up in a hotel. You got to feed them. You got their travel involved, and they just show up in front of some grocery store or health club or library or whatever, wherever they are, and try to entice you to sign this stupid petition to, change your whole life. So,
or you go to the U.S. Open and glue your feet to the cement floor.
Well, yeah, that's
and then when you sit down, you glue your butt to the chair after screaming and yelling and interrupting interrupting it about the climate weather. Like it was bad enough it was so hot in New York for the U.S. Open. I mean, everyone was complaining about the heat. But,
yeah. Well, and Williams is saying, well, they negotiated. Get them out of here.
Yeah, that's right.
What negotiation? Pull them out of their Buster Browns and send them on their way.
There you go, buddy. Common sense.
Well, I'll tell you, the best argument for global warming or against global warming, because Shane and I both think it's a farce, but what do we know? People who invest dollars, serious dollars, Shane, that would be banks. And banks make 30-year loans. Now, if they stop making 30-year loans on Florida, lakefront property, or Hawaii suddenly decides, well, that hotel's a little too close for us to make a loan on, then I'll get seriously concerned.
That's right.
But until then, yeah. So if nobody's going to make if anybody's reluctant to make a 30-year loan on anywhere near the waterfront, then maybe we'll do some serious thinking about this.
The Treasury News auction happens every Tuesday and sometimes twice a week because your government needs money. They put out, this is great, 29-year, 11-month bond. They offered $20 billion. 7 got taken. But you know what? It was the interest rate on it is 4 1/8%. Because if you go and you buy a 30-year bond right now in the market, you're paying less than $100 for it, and you're getting 4.3%. But I'm only bringing this up because I know you don't like me talking about it, but it's important that everyone knows this dirty little secret is that up until now, you've heard me reporting that the interest that your government's paying out for people to buy new debt this is great. It's like 0.005. So something's happening, folks. It's another black swan, my friend.
That's it for sure. So from our text line, 478-8298, speaking of illegals, Biden's legal. I met a couple in their 50s. Both got hired at a local fast food joint, both from Colombia. Will they get Social Security in a few years, even though they just crossed the border? Well, the employer is supposed to fill out an I-9, which identifies 2 forms of ID that the person has to have, and normally one of them is Social Security. So...
Well, that's right, but
and they're going to have to. They're going to have to report a Social Security number somewhere on their W-4.
Right.
Fill that out.
But your Social Security is a lot different than ours in that. Yeah. You only get the percentage you paid in. There's no special deals for anybody.
Yeah.
So anyone coming new to your country, in their 50s or 60s, they're not going to get much Social Security, even if they pay. No. Rightfully pay what they should.
Yeah. Well, the United States, Social Security is based on your 35 highest earning years of your working life, between 20 and 65. So
35 years.
Yeah, they take your highest 35 years, which, depending on how successful you are and how quickly, I was pretty lucky. I was pretty successful young. And so I get a pretty good chunk of change in Social Security.
Yeah, but most of these people coming into your country, because you're a service a service economy. They're taking jobs in the service economy, and they're taking cash. They don't want to pay any taxes. So they're going to be in a heap of hurt because they're going to find out, as an American, if you don't pay in, you don't get
You don't get it out. Yeah. So from our text line, 406-478-8298. Damn, that Joe Biden made inflation in Canada. What is the big thrill about seeing some woman in a stall in the bathroom anyway? I don't know. I guess.
Neither do I.
Oh, so, well, I guess we'll find out somewhere. I don't know.
That's right.
Jeez. Well, let's see. We've got to talk about a couple things here, but I don't want to necessarily start them because we're right on the top of the hour here with only a couple minutes left. So I can tease it just to appease Shane. We're going to talk about air taxis coming up. And also, history shows why America needs Trump's China tariffs. That ought to get the leftists going on the text line. And Montana Republicans won't litigate new redistricting plan. And our Attorney General's been accused of violating professional conduct rules. And Pelosi's going to run again. And, boy, we'll talk about all of those things when we return, coming up here in the next hour. So a lot of things going on. So gas is up at above $4 a gallon. So everybody's excited about that, I'm sure. And I think, how high do you think it's going to go, Shane? Yours is $4 a liter or quart.
$1.78 a liter, which puts it at $10 US a gallon. Yeah. So when you convert it, so it's $7. Wow, it's ridiculous. Redunculous, as I used to say in high school.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, well, and we think it'll go higher during because OPEC and Saudi Arabia and all these other, the G20s and all the other stuff that's going on, and Russia and Ukraine, because we're not any longer energy dependent. We don't have a Keystone pipeline, which would have probably been completed by now. And the Dakota pipeline is still in limbo. And Biden is going to go to Alaska and cut the oil leases there, which is going to make the Alaska people unhappy. And so I don't know. If you're a Democrat out there and you voted for Biden, you got to be scratching your head.
Or something else.
Something else, yeah. What the hell was I thinking?
If it was Biden, he'd be scratching his behind.
Yeah. Yeah. As Trump once said to the black community, hey, what do you got to lose? You've been voting Democrat for 50 years. What's it got you? Right now, if I don't think Biden is going to say, what do you got to lose? Couldn't lose much more than we already have. So I don't know.
Well, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Because your president he's a multi-millionaire.
Certainly seems like it, doesn't it? Certainly the Biden family's better off than they were 4 years ago. So
bet they are, buddy.
We got that going for us. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Hey, we still got a full hour to go. So don't go anywhere because, well, we've got a full hour to go. Football scores from Friday night, 52-20, 22-21, 38-0, 50-6, 49-14, 56-7. 49-27 and 28-27. So there's your football scores from Friday night. We'll be right back with more right after this. 7 minutes after the hour of 10 a.m. Mountain Time. It's Saturday. It's September 9th, 2023. Tommy Gallup, your morning mayor of the house. Shane Matabin, half man, half amazing, ensconced comfortably in his lavishly appointed surroundings in Kamloops, Canada.
Yeah, and it's still the high desert, still 70 degrees and sunny here. I can't believe we're having this conversation. This is going to be great. Take it away, Eagle Man. Here we go.
Well, before we take it too far, let's take a phone call.
Okay. All right.
We may have our fact checker on the line. So Calling your own with Tom and Shane. What's going on?
I'm definitely not a fact checker unless she's wants to be my girlfriend. You know what I mean? So. I was in Livingston just the other day, and I ran into this guy that listens to your show and Aaron's. His name is Rabbit, and he was really excited to hear from me. He thought he might even call in this morning.
All right.
That's ranked choice voting. I just don't like it. I'm just totally against it, especially what happened up in Alaska.
Yeah, Alaska's had their issues with it, that's for sure.
Yeah, I really liked her, and she never even got in through.
Mm-hmm.
And before you start picking on Shane, I have a couple points on here. Ball bearings need oil.
Yeah.
Or silicone.
Lubrication, yeah.
But they have magnetic bearings, and I've made them, and I've used them, and they are far superior than any of the oil-based bearings. Then we go to the
They don't require lubrication?
Nope. It's just magnetics.
Okay, babe.
North to south. And they're awesome. You can find them in Germany there, Shane. You can all over the place in various sizes.
North or South Germany?
I don't know. I'm not prejudiced.
I guess it won't fly east and west then, if they're magnetic.
It doesn't work up and down? Is it just north-south?
Well, it's the same as all different bearings. You can do the sliders, or you can also do the round standard bearing like you have in your vehicles and stuff. They're really awesome. And then the one part that you were going to pick on Shane about these air taxis and stuff.
Yeah.
I've seen them since Popular Mechanics, and I've even built some because I do a lot of remote control. But the only way you can do those is if you do a hybrid with one of those ballistic parachutes. You know, there's multiple ways, but it is plausible, and it's in there. Now I'm going to pick on Tom for a second here.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, I already told you I seen that UFO when I was like 11 years old.
Yeah.
But if you really go back, billions and trillions of years of this of these universe, we don't even know how long it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you just look at the last 500 years, and we've made it to the moon. And you go back even further in our history, with the pyramids, the ancient Tartarian, the Anunnakis, and there's a bunch more. And we cannot, at this point, even with our biggest equipment and best engineers, reproduce anything like that in like what they did.
Mm-hmm.
So to think that there's some alien species that's a few light years away hasn't in a billion years hasn't come up with beating the speed of light like we beat the speed of sound is kind of crazy. I'm sorry, Tom. I have to pick on you.
That's okay, my friend.
All I got. Well, one of the most important things here, like with motorhomes and transients and stuff like this, since the flood, I have a motorhome, and I lost my spot over here in Paradise Valley because it all got wiped out. And I like from Townsend, or not Townsend, but I got it up there. Damn near died 3 times trying to get up to by the damn bar up there, and they're just all super leftist, so I had to leave there.
Mm-hmm.
But I cannot find just even a place to park or anything. My motorhome, and I work hard. I make a fair bit of money, but hey, if a farmer or something, all I need is power, wants to give me a call, 406-223-5262. I really could use a spot, and I prefer out in the backcountry because I am that kind of a dude. So,
all right.
Well, you should come here because in our provincial parks out in the middle of the wilderness, you know, they have showers, running water, and flushing toilets. So
yeah,
there you go. You could, but.
Yeah, and down in Wyoming, there's so many. They were able to. You can go and get firewood for free, and you can also cut logging roads and stuff like this. And people go out and live in the backcountry without a problem with a few solar cells or something, So
Yeah.
it's we need to do something like adopt the same policies here. Hey, Greg Giaforti, if you're listening, we need to make it unlimited firewood and allow us to get back into these BLMs with our vehicles and our chainsaws and everything, and we can clean up that forest and not a problem. But unless something gets changed, and that's why if I do get run for U.S. Senate, I'm going to make a real point on opening up our lands for firewood and recreation.
Well, when you get elected senator, you better damn well come back on our show at least once a week for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, once I find a spot for my motorhome, I'm gonna start to run for U.S. Senate. So.
All right.
And so Tim Sheehy, I'm a pilot as well, but he better watch out because I'll be going on his shirt tails.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, John.
Right on. Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Take care. Always good to hear from John. So.
Always. Yeah.
All right. You sent me some crap about air taxis in Europe. They're trying to do what regulations for air taxis in Europe?
Now, come on, Thomas. Listen, the European Union Aviation Safety Agency.
Oh yeah, let's get it
like
right.
The FAA, like the FAA in your country. Now, this is key, Thomas.
Okay.
Rules detail the safe operation of manned, electric, vertical, and takeoff and landing vehicles, including air taxis, and promotes innovation and development in the field. But it's that including air taxis means it includes individual flying vehicles they're setting rules for. Okay, context real quick. The aviation industry this last week announced that the major airplane industry will produce 4,000 jets in the next 20 years. Wow. There's over 70,000 helicopters alone in the world today. And if you include, trucks, that's going to be the only use for trucks will be for the highway, because everything will be in the air, and the highway system you have now will be hopefully allowing the diesel-rid 18-wheelers. I mean, you got serious numbers here. There's what is it? There's a 7.5 million, and in large trucks, 39 million, 40 million trucks registered in your country, and they supply 75% of everything you consume. So the bottom line to all this, context-wise, is it's going to be a $2 trillion industry by 2050. Is going to employ 400 million people with new around the world jobs being paid six-figure salaries. So this is what will save your economy. But right now, people have to believe to have hope in something that will change what's about to occur in the next year.
Well, I think back to automobiles. We didn't have any speed.
That's right.
We didn't have any speed limits. We didn't have roads. You drove on trails. You drove on where the horse and buggies went. Right. When cars first started. Then we got into the highway system and whatever, and cars multiplied and whatever. My only problem has always been, that I don't think I want my neighbor and I taking off for work at the same time.
You won't. It'll be AI, baby. It'll all be artificial intelligence will run it. You'll just get in and tell it where to take you. That's it. Well, it'll be a quiet drone ride.
Well,
you'll be able to hear yourself hum.
Let's see how many of the self-driving car accidents have they had in L.A. and these various other places where they got autonomous drivers, but they're running stop signs and crashing into other vehicles and whatever. And
compared to the human drivers, and still 38,000 people dying every year on the road.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, this is going to change a lot. It's going to change the world, which is a good thing. Computers did. Now flying vehicles will. That's all.
Yeah. Well, not in my lifetime, I don't believe.
Hope in the future. Yep. Yeah. Within the next 5 years, you'll start seeing them.
You think so, huh?
They're going to replace all the helicopters in the world first.
Well, they'll probably do that. Yeah, I don't have a problem with replacing helicopters. You know, I have a problem of driving down to Winco and 86 people trying to fly in and out of the parking lot at the same time.
That's why insurance companies tell you 80% of all accidents are within a mile of your home.
That's right. And that would increase. But no. When you're 70 feet in the air and you fall, that's a little different than backing out into somebody else who's backing out.
Yeah, parachute won't help at 70 feet in the air.
No, that's not going to help me at all. So I don't know, man. It's I don't see how you're going to have mass people flying all over the place and not running into one another.
AI, baby.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
Thank you. I so much appreciate it, Eagle Man, that we got to talk about it because I have hope in this for the future for all of us.
Well, we'll hopefully we'll still be here in 5 years, so we'll revisit this. In the meantime, let's revert back to sanity and take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Call, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's going on?
Good morning, Tom and Shane. Just putzing around and drinking coffee for the most part, but I want to get my 2 cents in.
Go for it.
First of all, I always enjoy looking forward to your show and Saturday morning, so good effort there, fellas. I want to just talk a little bit about this Biden and the leftist New Green Deal, climate change, etc., war on petroleum industry, which essentially is what it is. You know, they want to try to eliminate it, and it's the devastating effects are getting worse weekly. You alluded to it a little bit earlier, Tom, about Joe Biden with the stroke of his pen and his executive order canceling a vast number of oil leases in Alaska, etc.
Yeah.
And, you know, now we got $4.20 a gallon fuel, gas. And these costs are, you know, they flood right down the old, you want to call it the trickle-down theory. Every single thing that you get at the store, whether it's a loaf of bread or a new cook stove, this all comes from somewhere on a semi burning diesel. And, you know, these costs are just passed right down to the consumer. And, you know, when it gets to the point it just costs you $10 just to drive from Four Corners to Bozeman gas, and it's getting worse daily. And, you know, he's a complete idiot, and I don't think he's, you know, got the mental acuity to dream this stuff up on his own. You know, it's being pushed by whoever's pulling his chain and, you know, the puppet show in the background. But it's got to, I mean, if it isn't curtailed, I mean, you just can't, no country in the world, at least an industrialized country, can survive without natural gas and oil and, you know, diesel fuel, and our cargo ships or semis, they're the ones running on it. And, you know, the thousands and thousands of commuters are getting in trucks and their cars every day to go to work. They're burning it. And, you know, I don't know when it gets to the point when people back east and in Montana and North Dakota and these cold countries in the winter, and the price of home heating oil and stuff is so prohibitive that you can't even keep your pipes from freezing because we're all so terrified of the climate change, which is, to me, all a bunch of nonsense. But I don't know, it's like every time Biden, another executive order, shut down the Keystone Pipeline, do this, you know, everybody's got to have electric cars and nobody wants them. And, you know, the consumers are feeling the heat out here now, I'll tell you. And so, I mean, where does it end when everybody finally realizes the whole thing is, you know, like shooting yourself in the foot?
Yeah. Well, you know, I think about right across from Kenyon Noble, there's low-cost housing there. And there, what is it, about 3 stories tall, I think, and there's about 4 buildings there. How many plugs do you need for that many people to plug in their flying cars?
Oh, yeah. Well, I would imagine pull quite a bit of electricity, wouldn't it?
Well, I would think so. Even if you got fast chargers or whatever.
Yeah, maybe you can just park them all out on Jackrabbit Lane.
Well, yeah, there you go. Well, in Joliet, Illinois, I think one of the car dealers wanted to put in charging stations at their dealership, and the city said no, because that charging would deplete the electricity going to the rest of the town. So,
I was just reading an article here a week ago or something about some guy and his family, and he had an electric car he bought, and they were trying to go on a vacation from Dakota to Minnesota or something, and he couldn't find a charging station, and then he finally found one, and it was closed, and then he wound up broke down on the road and didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And it was the worst damn decision I ever made was buying an electric car.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And then, of course, Joe Biden, he sold off millions of our strategic oil reserves, and a lot of that was sold to China, of all things.
Yeah, we got to replace that somehow.
Yeah. I mean, if things continue. We break into war with China or Russia full on. We won't have any ammunition because it's all been shipped to Ukraine. We won't have any petroleum to fuel our battleships and our tanks, and we'll just be sitting here like a bunch of sitting ducks waiting for the. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we could negotiate with the Taliban, but they sold all their stuff to other countries, so we don't know where that stuff is.
Yeah, I think that arms dealer that we traded that gay.
That guy's working. He's back.
Yeah, he's back in business.
Yeah.
But
all right, man. Thanks for the call.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Thanks for listening. All right. Take care. Caller, you're on with Tom and Shane. What's going on?
Yeah, Tom, this is Steve.
Hey, Steve. How you doing, man?
Well, I'm doing all right. It's a nice day.
Yeah. You're going to get are you going to get an electric flying car when they come available, Steve? That on your bucket list?
Well, I was going to tell you that, David, I mean, when you look out at all these UFOs that fly all over the universe, and Clint called in here, he saw one up close and personal one time.
Yeah.
He doesn't like to talk about it, but if you go on Gaia.com, there is so much information out there about all this different stuff that we don't have a clue about because our news media is totally controlled by the banksters. You know, Rothschild said then a long time ago, give me control of a nation's currency, and I care not who makes its law.
Yeah, that's right.
And we've been dealing with that for 100 years. Now, what's going on in our country right now? They have to get rid of the United States of America in order for their world government. And they're dang sure working on it real hard right now. And I see a big push to take the guns away, because then we are a slave. But hopefully people will wake up. I think a lot of them have. And according to, it was like a year after the last election, it showed that Biden was not in the White House. There was nobody in the White House. So I haven't been there for the last year or so to see what the hell's going on. But he's flitting all over the world giving our money away to these different countries that hate us. So I don't know. But I think we're going to have a whole lot of hell before this next election. And if we have that election, I don't know if we have an honest one, the bankers that own the Federal Reserve, the 8 richest families in the world that you pay your income tax to, they're going to not like Trump because he's likely to eradicate all this BS that we've been going through, that I'm talking about. So, and that's why they fear him greatly. So, I don't know, interesting times, I guess.
Amen, Steve. Thanks for the call, man.
All right.
Take it easy.
You bet. Thanks for letting me get this off my mind.
I don't want that vein in the top of your head popping out. You know?
It's okay, Steve. We're here for everyone to vent. That's the whole deal, buddy. You're here to vent.
Thanks, you guys.
All
Have
right,
a good
take
day.
care. All right. Let's see. What do we got here?
Today. Thank you for all the callers. We love you guys. And Nancy, of course.
It's only 10:30, you know.
I know. I'm
sound like you were saying goodbye. So.
No. I'm just thanking all the callers because we've got 30 seconds and you got to go.
I know. For our text line, 478-8298. Don't forget the folks that worked for tips through their 20s and 30s. My Social Security statements are hilarious. So there you go. That may be true. I don't know. Waiting table is one of the jobs I never had. So I guess I missed out. So we'll be right back. Don't go away. 27 minutes for the top of the hour. Last segment of Tom and Shane on Saturday. Hey, don't forget, 5 o'clock today, the Bobcats are going to take on the Jackrabbits of South Dakota over in South Dakota. That'll be on our sister station, XL Country, 100.7 on your FM dial at 5 o'clock. So I hope you'll tune in for that, and maybe the Cats can go 2-0. We hope. So.
And tomorrow's the first day of the NFL.
Yeah.
Games all day. Yeah, baby. 8 hours. Here it comes.
Ready for that. Well, 6 new countries have been invited to join BRICS, including Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. And BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And their claim to fame, I think they want to develop a new currency like the euro, Shane, to compete with the U.S. dollar. They don't like the dollar being the reserve currency of the world, and they want to get these trading partners all together and maybe take on the U.S. As a major trading bloc.
Well, first of all. Let them do it.
Yeah.
And again,
I say, go ahead.
You've been paying out for 75 years. Let these guys pay out. Number 2, everybody keeps forgetting about the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth. 27 countries. I mean, that's the largest trading bloc in the world. Okay, 25% of the, of the production of everything in the world. 27 countries. 35% of consumption. So it's growing because a lot of them are African countries. And so, this is all small talk and been there, done that. The Americans have watched this happen before with Japan and other countries, Germany and so forth. So this is nothing to be afraid of. Only going to create lesser prices at some point.
Yeah. Well, Russian President Vladimir Putin notably decided to skip the gathering of leaders as he risked arrest under a war crimes indictment issued by the International Criminal Court in The Hague over Russia's involvement in Ukraine. He opted to attend virtually, instead sending in a video message. And earlier this month, it was reported that more than 40 countries had shown interest in joining BRICS. Including 22 countries which had formally requested to join. So
there you go. That's nothing wrong with that. No. These trading blocks are great for the train. The train. Everybody talks about it, but the fact really is that when you have a global market, everybody now knows what it stands for, and
Yeah.
So the supply chain will be stronger by this, not weaker. I have nothing against it.
Yeah. From our text line, 478-8298, always wanting something for nothing. That's from our good listener, Gay.
Yeah.
Know that.
Yeah.
From another one of our texters reminded me of the Jetsons, 1962 to 63. Maybe I should go back and look at the Jetsons and see how they handled the flying traffic of the day.
Everybody living in a Space Needle. It was it's Seattle all over again.
Yeah. Speaking of the Taliban, which we were a few moments ago, glad Trump released 5,000 Taliban fighters to Afghanistan. I don't remember a trade.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it was 5 from.
You're gonna have to help me out there.
It was 5 from that Marine base in Cuba.
Yeah. Imagine the first gas cars. Where did they find pumps? Well, usually they went to the drugstore, which sold kerosene and gasoline, I believe, back in the day.
That's right.
And you put a container of it in your car. Unlike your battery running down, you could just refill your car with gas and go to your next drugstore.
Like the 12 Model Ts Ford built in any color you want, as long as it's black.
Yeah.
That was it.
I thought we hate the NFL because our feelings got hurt over some guys kneeling. Well, we did get our feelings hurt over that, but as you saw on Thursday night, they've got rid of the crap in the end zone, the end racism, and do this and do that. So the NFL has seen the error of their ways.
Well, that's because on Thursday night you saw them sing the black anthem. So that was the NFL's deal with all the players, which again it's like the left on everything. I mean, the best industry in the world, and who 72% of the NFL is African American. 70, and that includes coaching staff and players.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have this thing rocking. Why would they want to do anything to
I know.
A problem with it? Like, it's crazy.
I don't know. I'm glad to see they did it in pro basketball too. They got rid of the stuff on the back of the jerseys and stuff on the floor and everything. So
the defensive player for Kansas City is holding out for $85 million contract. I mean, not a bad yearly wage, right?
Yeah, not bad at all.
Although Burrows is, he's the most expensive player on the field right now, the quarterback.
Yeah. In my opinion, the only way the BRICS countries can create any type of agreed upon currency, it will have to be backed by gold with the possibility of silver playing a role. Yeah, because they're none of those countries have a stable currency.
Nobody. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean they may want to, and they think if they're all together, like the European Union, they can create a euro or a BRICS buck or something like that. But
well, the Canadian is 1.36 to the American dollar, the Canadian. But I mean, you look at what's going on. China's 7.3. I mean, that tells you how it's gone up a whole point. I mean, their currency's dropping like a flat box of bananas.
Yeah. The left wants to protect the people kneeling for Black Lives Matter, but they will not protect those kneeling to pray to God Almighty. Amen to that.
Your Constitution does that, so it's good.
No, it should. It should take care of that.
That's why it's there, baby.
Well, let's see if we can get... Well, we should have done this at the beginning of the show, Shane, because I know a lot of people are upset about Trump's tariffs, but Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen's trip to Beijing last week, Tony Blinken went there also, reaffirmed a truth backed by centuries of U.S. economic history that even the Biden administration understands Trump's China tariffs are good for the country and good for global security.
Well, it's incredible because it's been over 76 billion every year since he implemented them, and the Democrats have kept them, and you're at 70 billion right now, still 4 months of the year, so he easily could hit 80 billion this year because China's in deep doo-doo.
Yeah, 70.6 billion in tariffs right now.
And there's still 4 more months.
Yeah, we're still rocking and rolling along. So
that's right, baby.
So yeah,
bring it on. Yeah.
Well, as I said, I pointed out we heard about the tariffs all the time during Trump's administration, and now I don't hear anything about anybody griping that Biden hadn't got rid of them. Right. He got rid of a whole stack of regulations that Trump put in place, but tariffs wasn't one of them.
No.
So according to reports from Yellen's meeting with their Chinese counterpart, Vice Premier He Lilong, one of Beijing's top concerns is lifting Trump-era tariffs that have hampered the Chinese economy. Well, are we supposed to, isn't that our job?
Yeah, we're told they're that's the big threat. So give me a break. Let's walk a mile in these shoes, baby.
Yeah. But Biden, in what amounts to nothing less than an explicit endorsement of his predecessor's policy, has kept most of Trump's tariffs in place. To be sure, Biden has capitulated to Chinese interests in other ways and emboldened Beijing through many foreign policy blunders. Yeah, it's the intellectual property and TikTok and all the other crap that comes out of that place.
Well, if your son had $1 billion deal with the Chinese government, I mean, what would you do?
Yeah, so, I guess. Oh, geez. Yeah, Trump's China tariffs revived a debate over unrestricted free trade and protectionism that dates back to the very beginning of the country. In fact, one of the first significant pieces of legislation passed by the United States Congress on July 4th, 1789, was a list of tariffs on goods. Much like Donald Trump in 2016, the political leaders of America founding generation were concerned about the country's rapidly rising debt and the flood of foreign imports wrecking domestic industries.
Oh my goodness, what a surprise.
Yeah. So there. So all you leftists out there that think the Trump tariffs killed the economy, welcome to reality.
There you go. Yeah. Well, Biden wants to keep those farmers, and they continue paying. A lot of this money's still being paid out, to farmers, and that's because of Trump. He long-term grandfathered, and then no one's touching the legislation in your House or Senate, right? Yep. Everybody wants that. They want those farmers to vote for them.
Yeah. Well, the Montana Republican Party will not mount a legal challenge to the redistricting plan adopted by the state's Districting and Apportionment Commission earlier this year, a state GOP chairman said. We looked at our legal options and we felt there would be a distraction seeing how this 24 cycle is going to be a big thing with Senator Tester's reelection attempt. And we want to stay focused on that. So they're going to focus on beating Tester rather than worrying about where the districts and how they're drawn and whatever. So anyway.
So much to do with local government and the minority and election.
Well, the commission took their final vote on new state House and Senate districts in February with nonpartisan chair breaking a tie in favor of the 5-person commission's 2 Democrats and concluding a redistricting plan that began back in 2019. So we'll see. Your district may change, and whoever your representative was before might be someone new. I guess we'll find out. Well, one of the things we reported, I think last year, Shane, that Attorney General Austin Knudsen wanted the Supreme Court to turn over a lot of documents about their decisions and other things, and they took exception to that. So now the The professional organization that investigates claims of attorney misconduct in Montana filed a complaint against him on Tuesday.
Why not, right? Like, why not?
Yeah. The complaint on behalf of the Montana Supreme Court appointed Office of Disciplinary Counsel says Knudsen and attorneys who work for him at the State Department of Justice undermine public confidence in the judicial system with their communications to and about the Montana Supreme Court during a lengthy separation of powers conflict with Republican legislatures. So I think that was either a year or 2 years ago that we covered that, Shane.
It was. Yeah, that's right.
That was going on. And so it's certainly now the Supreme Court has had enough, I guess, bad-mouthing them. And so they are going to go for this. So the complaint alleges...
Let's try this one more time, Eagle Man.
Yeah, the complaint alleges not one, not two, 41 violations of the Montana Rules of Professional Conduct. So you gotta, the more violations you have, Shane, the better chance you have of getting something to stick to that wall.
That's right, and they're all being prosecuted, right?
Every one of them. Who knows how many witnesses they'll have in this, Shane? This
right.
This thing could go on till the year 3000. Who knows? It will be there a long time. Let's see. If Biden were smart, he could lower inflation by removing Trump's tariffs. Well, why not?
What?
Yeah, I don't know how that's
tariffs have nothing to do with it. If anything, tariffs reduce inflation.
Yeah. No conservative ever supported protection is a tariffs. Those are liberal concepts and ideas, and I have never worked. That's why Joe Biden kept.
Well, tariffs and taxes is what financed your government till 1918. So there you
go. Yeah. Trump's tariffs cost inflation. I had to raise my prices because of his liberal tariffs. Liberal Biden kept them. Don't believe the lie. Americans pay tariffs. Okay. If you enjoy high gas prices, groceries, and virtually every commodity draining your bank account, if you applaud having corrupt, incompetent, treasonous... You're making a lot of noise there.
Sorry, that's my chair.
I know. I'll start over.
Okay.
If you enjoy high gas prices, groceries, and virtually every commodity draining your bank account, if you applaud having a corrupt, incompetent, treasonous, lying clown for president, by all means, continue to vote for Democrats.
There you go.
So I couldn't have put it more succinctly myself.
Wow, that's a big word there, Eagle Man, and it just
succinctly,
came out
yeah,
perfect.
I know. Yeah.
Hey, very good.
I'm not just a robot on TV, you know.
No.
Read the indictment, turn off your radio and read them. And as I've said a million times, why do I need to read it? Because the court is going to make a decision one way or the other, and I'll wait for that.
That's right.
Even if I read it and I had an opinion, not my job.
That's right.
Not my job to say who's guilty and who's innocent.
Yeah, it's your job to vote for the people to deal with it so you can enjoy your football and your case of beer this weekend. Yeah, baby. Let's go for it.
Yeah. Tariffs are paid by Americans as a tax, removing them with lower costs. Well, it might lower costs, but it would lower prices.
That's for sure.
I'll just be making a couple more bucks on my spatula.
That was easy.
Yeah. It doesn't take long for me to get this done.
Nope.
Yep. So, if you're going to bitch about tariffs, bitch to Biden.
Yeah. Right.
Have you written a letter to him? Have you written the White House lately and said, hey, stupid tariffs are killing me? Try importing something and learn who pays tariffs. Americans do. Well, buy American. What are you importing?
Hey, listen, the good news is that's not anything from China because they've slashed their prices by 50%, folks. So,
and I was going to say, it's 6-1 for the dollar. You get $6 worth of their stuff for $1. Seven, yeah, almost 7, yeah. So
over 7.1.
And if you're unhappy with that tariff, see what kind of deal you can make with Vietnam or Indonesia or Malaysia or Myanmar.
India's coming, baby.
India's ready
They're
for
the ones
you.
that are going to rock.
Yeah. Let's see. Treason. That was your Mango Messiah who tried to steal election. Yeah, okay. Yeah, change the topic if you lose the argument. Let's see. What else I got? People telling me to read anything like that just took off. Air Snort 1. That's from Jen. Now, thanks, Jen. Appreciate it. Let's see. You have opinions based on some guy on radio. Read the indictment with the photos and tell me he did nothing wrong. I don't care if he did anything wrong. I don't care if he did anything right. It's only what the jury and the judge decide. And I'm happy with that.
That's the system, baby.
That's the way the system operates. So yeah. So, all the indictments in the world doesn't really matter. What's our current trade deficit with China, Shane? Right on John wants to know that from our AM 1450 KMMS text line on your smartphone. You got 3 minutes to figure it out.
Oh, okay, thanks.
So while Shane's working on that, we'll talk about a couple other things here. Hopefully, if I can get my screen back up here. Let's see. Well, we got to talk about Pelosi running for re-election in 2024. She hasn't fallen down. She hasn't had shingles. She's not in a wheelchair yet, but she is 83. And another 4-year term for her would make her 87. So, she's been in Congress since 87, Shane. That's before air travel, I believe. She's been there a long time. And, she's 83 now, so she'll be 87 by the time she gets out, if she gets out. So she's been 35 years serving in the House, and she says she wants to continue working for the people of San Francisco. And I'm wondering if that's the countless people laying on the streets in San Francisco, or all the drug-needled people, or the illegals that are there, all the crime that's going on there. I haven't heard her say a whole lot about any of that, quite honestly. But
$536 billion a year trade deficit with China pre-COVID. Mm-hmm. It's $382 billion now, so it's dropped. There you go.
It's gone down. Billion. Thank you, Joe Biden. God. Jeez.
Thank you, yeah.
Oh, man, I'm glad that guy's in the office. Who knows? But, Trump, it would have probably been over 100 million. I don't know. But anyway. I raised my customer prices when Trump added tariffs. I bitched to Biden. He is a liberal like Trump. But Americans... buy my raw materials are not made here, so I pass tariffs on to customers. Well, buy American.
That's right.
You won't accept the jury. Trump was found guilty of sexual assault, and you don't believe it. I didn't say I didn't believe it. He was found guilty. He's guilty. When did I ever say he wasn't guilty? Jeez. Why would you believe a jury on his current charges? Because I will. I believed him on the Carroll case. Guy's That's guilty. Right. Jury of his peers found him guilty. And he paid a $50 million fine to her or whatever. So, yeah, it's called guilt. It used to be called the kangaroo court. These are where Trump is being railroaded by the decadent, leftist, fascist current administration. That's a lot of big words in there. So, and they were all spelled right too. I gotta give that texture credit.
There you go, baby.
Just saw a guy in a dress riding a bike on Main Street. The only problem I have is he wears a dress better than... That's just wrong. Better than I do. That's just wrong, I guess. So, okay. Yeah, whatever makes you look good. Trump left office with larger trade deficits. Yeah, he did. So Shane just pointed it out. So,
well, it's getting to that time, Thomas. I got to thank you for this. And we had a great day because we had a huge number of phone-ins. Thank you all for that. We appreciate everyone listening. And this is the place to vent. As Thomas always said, everything is welcomed here. So everyone be happy, be safe, live in the moment, because that's all you have is moments in this life forever and ever. And live to work. We love to talk about it. We have for 10 years. And be happy. Be happy and be safe, and come home with a smile on your face. Everyone loves that.
That's for sure. All right. Thanks, Shane. Hey, don't forget the job fair Tuesday, September 12th, 12 to 6 p.m. at the Gallatin County Fairgrounds, Exhibit Building 2 and 3. 30 companies are going to be out there looking for employees. So if you want to find some work, they are ready to give it to you. Also, the Bobcats are taking on the South Dakota State, and that'll be on our sister station, XL Country 100.7 on your FM dial at 5 o'clock today. I am out of here.